What's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's back with you today, Kevin Forte. Today we are looking at the Philadelphia Flyers. The Flyers had an interesting offseason. Um, it's a team that has promise, and I think that is something Flyers fans are probably sick of hearing because for the last couple of years it felt like maybe this was the year. I think a couple of years ago there was a lot of excitement about the Flyers because they just missed the playoffs, but they got really hot in the spring, and it unfortunately didn't lead to a playoff run. And then last year we kind of saw like the real version of the Flyers, where we're going to see the Flyers from the second half of that season going into last year, or was it going to be the first half of that team 2 years ago? And unfortunately, it was the latter. And unfortunately for the Flyers, we saw some pretty big changes to this team. And I think for the better. I think this team, with some of these moves, they have a lot of younger guys that are going to continue to develop, which I also think is a huge plus that not a lot of people are maybe thinking about. Um, you have Travis Konechny, Sean Couturier. Now you have the big addition in terms of a big contract for Owen Tippett, which is on the books this year. Then you have guys like Trevor Zegras, who they added, Christian Dvorak, who I think are really good depth additions to this team that not a lot of people really. I think the whole Zegras thing is kind of interesting because if he turns out to play really well there, A, that's going to look really bad on Anaheim, and B, that could be a move for the Flyers that if he plays center or wing, wherever he fits best, and comes in and is a top six forward, that's a win for the Flyers. And they're willing to take that $5.5 million this year, potentially a big contract next summer. Hopefully he does well though. I would rather have Trevor Zegras do really well this year, make a big contract and continue that contract than him fizzle out this year. We should be rooting for Trevor Zegras with the Philadelphia Flyers, which feels really weird saying. I was almost about to say with the Anaheim Ducks because I'm just so used to that. The idea of him wearing a Flyers jersey is just insane. It is a interesting world we live in here today in 2025. With that said, Christian Dvorak, another addition here to the Flyers team that I'm a big fan of Dvorak. I think a lot of people, I think especially with the way things worked out in his tenure with the Arizona Coyotes, Dvorak has been a guy that the potential with where he was drafted. If you're going off of where he was drafted and what you expect from him, you're going to be disappointed, right? But I think with what he is as a player, I really like Dvorak. And I think he doesn't necessarily put up a ton of points. He's not that type of player. He is a Philadelphia Flyer. He is the type of guy that he is a big body. He can go in front of the net. And he'll chip a couple pucks in here and there. But I think with the culture of the Philadelphia Flyers, staying the Broad Street Bullies, this is that type of player that can do that. And yeah, it's $5.4 million. It's a 1 year deal. There are worse $3.5 million contracts. I'm talking about you, Pierre Engvall, making 3.75 for the next 7 years. I would rather have Dvorak on a 1 year deal than a deal like that. So if you want to put it that way for Flyers fans, I think that's a guy that let's see what he can do. He's in the prime of his career. He's 29 years old. Make or break year for Christian Dvorak. I think he'll be able to play well, especially if he gets some time in the middle six, maybe in the top six. Playing with some of those skilled players, maybe that'll be a benefit for him, right? And then obviously you have Tyson Forster, Noah Cates, who's getting up there in age, which is crazy. He's 26 years old, and how could we forget guys like Bobby Brink and Matvei Michkov? Those are two guys in particular I'm really interested in seeing because I think Bobby Brink showed a lot of promise last year, and I'm interested to see what else he can bring to the table for the Philadelphia Flyers. Um, on the back end, Ryan Ellis, that contract will be finishing up in 2 years from now, so the clock is ticking on that. That's not going to end soon enough, but hopefully very soon. You got Travis Sanheim. You got Cam York, who's on his big ticket now. Ristolainen, Nick Seeler. I think Nick Seeler is an interesting one because a lot of people are like, Nick Seeler making 2.7? I think what you're getting with him is it's a sure thing. You know what you have with Nick Seeler? Yeah, you're probably paying him a little bit too much at 2.7 million per year there, but also the Flyers needed to get to the cap floor, which they're closer to the cap ceiling, but they needed guys that were going to play for the Flyers. When you are the Philadelphia Flyers, Nick Seeler might be on an entry level type 800K tryout contract on a team that's a Stanley Cup contender. For a team like the Flyers, he kind of has say here. He has a little bit of leverage. Listen, I'll play on the Flyers, but these are my last years in the NHL where I could be chasing a Stanley Cup. If you want me to come to the Flyers, you got to pay me up, and that's what they're doing. Um, So Nick Seeler's there. Jamie Drysdale and Zegras are back on the same team, which is great to see. Yegor Zamola, Noah Juleson, and Dennis Gilbert. A couple of depth additions there, nothing too crazy. Um, the goaltending is going to be an issue again, I think, and that's why I don't have as much faith in the Flyers making the playoffs this year because of their goaltending situation. It doesn't look very different from what we've been seeing over the last few years. They have Ivan Fedotov and Sam Ersson. I want to see Ersson really step up and have a good season, but it's Jekyll and Hyde with Sam Ersson. We don't know which version of him we're going to get on any given night, and kind of the same thing for Fedotov. And then Dan Vladar is one that I think concerns me in the sense that, like, if they see, like, they're paying him as if he's a starter. And I just don't know if that's really going to work. I don't think he is that type of goaltender. I think he's a serviceable backup. But this 3-goalie situation the Flyers are going to try and do, I would rather have one really good goalie than 3 goalies that you don't know on any given night which one's going to be the one that should be best fitted to play. Like, I just don't think there's enough consistency there. It's hard getting reps in practice as that third goalie because you're not going to see any, like, there's a lot of other things going on in that situation, which makes me wonder, like, could the Flyers maybe look to move one of Fedotov or Ersson? I don't think they can or will, but I'm interested to see, like, are the Flyers really going to go with that 3-goalie rotation? Because I don't necessarily know if that is a recipe for success. So I'm not a GM, I'm not a coach, so take with that what you will, but we've seen it enough times in the past. Not only are you taking a roster spot from the rest of your team on that 28-man roster, now you're talking about, again, like, less reps for that third goalie, whoever that could be on any given day. It's just a lack of consistency. And for goalies that are already lacking some sort of stability and consistency over the last couple of years, do you really want to put them in a 3-goalie rotation? I don't think that is the way to go here. So, like I said, I think the Flyers defense has promise, but is lacking still. There's not enough depth there. There's some pieces I like there, but not enough. And up front, I'm looking for that guy, like, yes, Matvei Michkov, but who else is going to score? Is it going to be Zegras? Is it? I don't really expect it to be Dvorak, so it's got to be Zegras, right? Zegras has to be the guy scoring goals other than Michkov. So if they're going to focus, teams are going to focus on shutting him down, playing physical on Zegras and Michkov, then who else steps up? And I do have a little bit concern for that for the Philadelphia Flyers. I like Konechny, I like Couturier. Again, I don't necessarily know if there's enough depth there. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you think the Flyers can make the playoffs in 2026? I really don't think they will. I don't think a lot of experts. My voice is dead. I'm shot, guys. So I'm trying to get this video out for you guys. It's been a week. Things have been crazy. I've been super busy, but I needed to make sure I got this video out for you guys. So that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys again next time. Peace out.